For my first video, I'd like to start off with a tutorial on how to make a Dreamcatcher. So what you need is two types of string, one for the outside of the frame and one for the inside of the frame, which is the main design. Then you need the actual frame itself. So I used a rough wire to shape into a circle, which I can use later, but anything goes for this one. Then you will also need scissors and probably a needle. So to start off, you want to tie on the string to the frame. As long as you're actually satisfied with how the frame looks, this will work out fine. If you're using wire, you can shape the frame later on as well. What you're going to do is double knot the string around the wire. If you want to, you can do this a couple of times in order to fixate this better and so that it doesn't get undone later on. The next step in this process is to use the piece of string that you have tied on and wrap it around the piece of wire. So I also used it to hide the little piece of string that's sticking out. You're going to keep wrapping the string around the wire until the entire circular frame is completely filled with string. I'll show you what to do. So what you're going to do once you're done wrapping the string around the entire wire is then use this really simple knot, which is basically just taking the string, throwing one end over the wire, and then pulling it through the loop that's remaining to tighten around the wire. So I'm going to show you how to do that. You can also do that loop a couple of times in order to fixate the string better. Lastly, cut the string with scissors. So the second part of this project is actually weaving the net of the Dreamcatcher. So what you start off is by tying the string with a double knot onto one of the points in this Dreamcatcher. Then you're going to take the string that you now have to attach the Dreamcatcher and loop it over the wire and then back through the loop that is created by that same string when it's looped over. So I'm going to show you that in the video here. Once you got the string under itself around the wire, you can pull it really tightly so that it remains rigid and so that the rest of your Dreamcatcher can have proper form. You're going to repeat this process all around the Dreamcatcher. What you may want to do first is plan out how many loops you want it to have. So what you're going to want to do next when you're done with all the loops around the wire is take the string, it should be ending where the next loop is beginning, and put it through the loop that is the next one, and then hook it underneath again like you were just doing with the wire. So that would result in this fixated sort of knot around the middle of the next loop. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time to pull all the string through, but as you can see here, when I'm finished, I tightened the string ever so tightly in the middle of the next loop. You continue with this pattern of tying the string through the next loop all around the entire wire. So repeating this process over and over again will result in many loops around the wire where the net is actually being formed. So at one point it's going to become too difficult to put the string through between the other strings. You might want to use either a needle for that, or you could also finish off the Dreamcatcher, which is what I'm going to show you next. So what you're going to do next is to tighten off the Dreamcatcher is put the string through all of the loops around the circle. But instead of doing knots on them, it's just wrapping the thread through the loops. And that's a way to create less friction so that you can actually tighten this off properly. So finally, you're gonna pull the string through tightly, and then you're gonna take your needle and put it through some of the strings. That might be a bit difficult, but that is a way to tie off the Dreamcatcher. And what you do then is put the needle halfway through the strings, and then take one of the ends of the string that you're currently holding the end of the string, and loop it twice around the end of the needle and pull the needle through. This will create a sort of knot on the end so that the Dreamcatcher does not come apart. Cut off the remaining string. And like so, you have the base of your Dreamcatcher. What I'm going to do next is attach a string so that you can actually hang the Dreamcatcher on the wall. So what you're going to do is take a piece of string, tie the two ends together in a knot, pull one of the ends through underneath the wire of the Dreamcatcher in between the string, and then pull one end of the string that you now have through the loop of the other end of the string on the wall. Next, you can decorate it in any way, shape, or form you want to, which can include beads, strings, ribbons, honestly anything. I'm going to show you a few things that I did with mine. So for the one that I just made, I used it as part of my bigger set of Dreamcatchers, which was this picture you can see here. For this one, I used some fake plaster flowers that I had lying around, and I also attached a smaller Dreamcatcher to the bottom of it. For this one, instead of tightening off the middle of the Dreamcatcher, I actually wove in a piece of jewelry as the centerpiece. For this last Dreamcatcher, I used a lot of string, feathers, and some seashells in order to be able to finish it off. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope that this somehow helped make your day a little bit more fun, maybe. Bye!